I am the sun and the air. I am human and I need to be loved just like anybody else does. What up, my channel? Welcome back to Bowties and Books, and today we're going to be talking about Wiggity Wiggity Witchathon! God, someone should take my camera away from me. But before we get into my TBR for Witchathon, I thought I would give you 4 witch-tacular comics that you can sink your teeth into for this Halloween. Also, huge shout out to the shirt that I'm wearing from Ghoul Babe. Darkly dressed and slightly possessed. And I love this little bat. Ah, it's great. You need to check out their website. All their stuff is fantastic. Without further ado, let's get started. The first witch-tacular comic I have for you is Blackbird issue number 1, written by Sam Humphries and illustrated by the talented Jen Bartel. It tells the story of Nina, who at age 13 has a terrifying vision of an earthquake that is going to devastate Los Angeles. No one in her family believes her, especially her older sister. Then, of course, the earthquake actually hits, and Nina is like, oh shit, I have powers. When the earthquake hits, Nina and her older sister Marisa run from the house straight into the tracks of this gorgeous sea lion type monster. They're not the only ones who see it. Many other people are on the street marveling at this beautiful creature. And just when Nina finally has proof and people to believe that the mythical actually does exist, another creature drops from the sky, this ethereal, beautiful being, and makes everyone forget what they saw. However, Nina remembers, and she doesn't know why she remembers, but she does. The comic then fast forwards 10 years to when Nina is a 23-year-old failure living on her sister's couch and is addicted to prescription painkillers. She has been forever changed by the fact that she knows that the occult and magical powers exist and no one believes her. And this is something that she can't move past. It's become impossible for her to find a job or to find people to relate to her because she knows that she can see things that nobody else can. All she wants is to become a paragon, a master of magic. But when that gorgeous sea lion creature appears once again in her life, she finally might get her wish. This is one of the most beautifully illustrated comic books I've ever read. I love Jen Bartel's neon art style and the full page spreads that she gives us. I would highly recommend this comic. Issue 1 exceeded all of my expectations and I had very high expectations for this pair. And it is a monthly comic, so you will have plenty of time to read this one and then get the next one, which comes out on November 3rd. This next comic is TheBomb.com. It is produced by Black Mask in California, and it is called Jade Street. What would happen if Harry Potter and Sailor Moon had a baby, and then that baby went on to star in The Breakfast Club? That's what Jade Street is. Call me SpongeBob because I am ready. Each of these girls have different abilities and they can only utilize them when they first transform to a higher level state, and 2, utilize them through a conduit, any item which they can channel their powers through, similarly to how the witches in Harry Potter have to use their wands. My personal favorite is Emma, who is a mute autistic girl who communicates with her friends via text message. These 5 girls do not begin the comic book as friends. They only become friends after getting stuck in detention together and decide to ditch it to go get frozen yogurt. No greater friendship has ever been formed. It's authentically funny, queer, and exciting, and you start to think there's not going to be any real conflict in the story, and then you become okay with it because the story is that good. But the conflict actually does introduce itself at the end of issue 1 when the girls find out that their school is stealing power from witches. If you're looking for a witchy comic that has queerness, characters of color, world building, and neurodivergence, this is definitely the one for you. The next comic I have for you is an ode to the power of 3, and that is Spells on Wheels. Part of the many reasons I love this comic is because it is lighthearted, witchy, and fun with beautifully illustrated panels, but it also talks about some real-world issues in a subtle way that doesn't feel like it's beating you over the head. It tells the story of 3 powerful witches who are roommates and best friends, but their lives are turned upside down when an unknown intruder breaks into their home and steals a bunch of their possessions. He then distributes these highly sought-after possessions on the witchcraft dark market, and then the girls must go across the country trying to recover these dangerous possessions. This comic is a lot of fun. It has queerness, diverse characters, feminist commentary, and all of the girls have different abilities, so it reminds me a lot of Charmed, and that just takes me back to my childhood. I would highly recommend it, and it's some of the most beautiful coloring ever. And there was no way I could wrap up a witchy video without talking about Monstrous, one of my favorite comics of all time, written by Marjorie Liu, illustrated by Sana Takeda. It's fantastic. You need to go get it. I will warn you that it is definitely M for mature because it is quite horrific, gruesome, graphic horror, that's for damn sure. In this world, there are many creatures. There are humans, witches, cats with two tails, all kinds of beasts. Our protagonist, Micah Halfwolf, looks human, but she is actually from a different species entirely. In fact, her species are subjugated by humans and are frequently sold into slavery, killed, and used for all manners of heinous purposes. Their powers and abilities are routinely harvested by alchemists and witches, and then their bodies discarded. Micah Halfwolf lost her mother and her left arm was ripped off when she was just a girl. Since then, she has spent much of her life on the road trying to protect herself and has frequently ended up in slavery. Despite having lost her left arm, she's still one of the most powerful beings in any room, and she makes sure that everybody knows it. However, this becomes even more of a problem when an ancient monster takes notice of her and binds to her body. She then does everything in her power to control the monster from taking over her body entirely. It frequently likes to manifest itself as her left arm, and it will burst out of her arm as its own entity and eat and take whatever it wants. Innocent bystanders, even children, friends of Micah, have been devoured by this monster, and it makes it incredibly difficult for people to get close to her, which isn't something that she minds all that much because she's not a very likable person. I'm currently on volume 2, where Micah and her monster are on the run from forces that both want to destroy her and utilize the awful power inside of her. Now, I just gave you about 25% of the plot because this book is easily the most complex comic book that I've ever read. By the end of volume 1, you still won't know what is going on, but I encourage you to push through to volume 2. Each volume gives you a little bit more of the picture, so if you don't mind being in the dark, I would check this book out. And I think that the convolution of it is worth it because it allows you to get so much information about the world and to really see what you're working with. And now, it is time to talk about what I am reading for WITCHATHON. And I know what you're thinking, but Jessie, WITCHATHON started yesterday. Yeah, I know. I'm gonna be doing for WITCHATHON what I did for Spookathon, which is to do just like a weekend vlog where I'm vlogging Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of me reading all of these books. I'm gonna try to fit everything into one weekend and post it on Monday, but if not, then I will just post it as my video on Tuesday. This meant Tuesday. It was like a 2 and 2, like a T. Okay, what's going on with my hair? What's happening here? The first prompt for WITCHATHON. This time of year is all about preparing for the dark and gathering enough harvest for winter. Read a book that is bound to make you warm and happy. And I don't think it's gonna surprise anybody that I'm going to be reading all of the Spells on Wheels comics, as well as all of the Jade Street comics. Number 2, light a candle for your ancestors and read by candlelight. This is a time for honoring your kin. I'm pretty excited about this one, not gonna lie, it's gonna make me feel really bougie. Prompt number 3 is to read a spooky horror thriller novel, and I am picking Sawkill Girls. This book I've already started. I'm on page 80, and I'm liking it so far. Not super thrilled about it, but I am liking it. It is about 3 girls all living on the prestigious and secluded island called Sawkill Rock. This is a creepy island where girls have been going missing for decades, and nobody knows what happens to them. This book follows the stories of Val, Marion, and Zoe. Zoe is the sheriff's daughter, and she's recently been devastated by the loss of her friend Thora, who has been recently pronounced dead. Zoe is done pretending that it's okay that these girls are vanishing into the night, and she has made up her mind to find out what's going on once and for all. Marion and her sister Charlotte have moved into Val's home, Val, who is the queen bee and sweetheart of Sawkill Rock. Marion and Charlotte are living with Val as her maids, and that's kind of how all of these girls become wrapped up. Zoe is convinced that Val has something to do with the disappearances of these girls, more importantly, Val's family, because all of the girls found missing have been affiliated with Val's family. Prompt number 4, the veil between the worlds is thinnest. Read a book with paranormal elements. I'm going to be reading The Lingering by S.J.I. Holiday. It's about a couple on the verge of divorce who moved to a commune that used to be inhabited by witches during the Salem witch trials. Now they find out that the commune that they're living in was a violent psychiatric facility where some mysterious horror crimes went down, and for whatever reason they decide to stay there once they get this information. And I've heard that this book has a lot of paranormal elements, and I'm super excited to get into it. Prompt number 5, in honor of your ancestors, read a book that features your ethnic heritage. Now, some of you may know that I am Black, but I am also Mexican. I tried pretty hard to find a witchy book about an Afro-Latina, Afro-Latino, Afro-Latinx person, and I wasn't able to do so. So if you have any recommendations for that, please let me know below. The book that I did find, however, is Akata Witch. It is book 1 out of 2 in the series. The second book is called Akata Warrior. This book is teen fantasy, and also, like, can we talk? Let's talk about this cover. Because this cover is all I want to talk about, to be honest. Like, that's all we need to know, this cover. This book was written by Nnedi Okorafor and tells the story of Sunny, who is a West African girl living life as an albino. She's not popular with her peers. In fact, she's outright ostracized by them, but she has fantastic friends that she loves and has great camaraderie with. And for whatever reason, the magical authorities, because she and her friends are witches, the magical authorities have decided that it's up to her and her friends to catch this criminal that has the ability to use witchcraft. I don't know if the criminal is a witch or just a human who has learned some witchy tricks. I don't know. I didn't read too much of the back because I didn't want to spoil anything. And it's up to her and her friends to track down this person and hope that their training will be enough to apprehend them. Number 6, every witch needs a coven. Find a book to buddy read. And I'm going to be buddy reading Saw Kill Girls with Jess Reads Books. Jess is phenomenal. Perfect Twitter, perfect Instagram, perfect YouTube. Like, I need you to go subscribe to all those things right now. Okay, thanks. The last prompt, number 7, is to read the group book, and that is The Girl Who Drank the Moon by Kelly Barnhill. I'm really excited about this. I think that it is middle grade fiction, and I don't know too much about it. All I know is that there is a town that is very superstitious, and every year they sacrifice a child to the town witch, which they believe, which they believe to be a malevolent witch, but she is actually super kind and wouldn't hurt a fly. Whenever a child is sacrificed to her, she just finds them a loving home, and during the journey, she feeds them, I think, starlight? She feeds them starlight throughout the journey to keep them, you know, alive, because delivering a dead child to someone and being like, hey, here's a gift, probably not a good idea. One day when she encounters the child Zan, she feeds Zan moonlight instead of starlight, which causes Zan to become a very powerful little girl. I had a lot of fun filming this video. I love talking about comic books, and I cannot wait to start reading these books. I'm gonna get on it tonight. I also wanted to thank everybody who is new to my channel or who has been subscribed to me kind of since I started this journey a few months ago. It really means a lot to me. I've gotten a lot of support, especially lately, from channels like Rachel Marie, Read with Cindy, from Bookmarked, all people who have been very kind and shouting me out and giving me support and feedback, and that means everything to me. Let me know if you plan on reading any of these comics or books in the comment section down below. Please feel free to like this video and subscribe. I would absolutely love it if you do, and I will see you in my next one.